out which kind of battery is more close to DC frequencies. There may be some new battery design more close to they may cause a higher frequency range. This is the current design. In the future also, with the new material development, like future metal material development, people may not just use this kind of battery. Maybe in the future also use the solar power to replace the battery, use the other materials like some electric material to replace it. This is also possible for the far future, maybe after 10 years, 20 years. The battery also people develop a lot, like a lithium battery, all kind of this based on the design of this different batteries, they may generate different frequency range. That's what I can see right now. If you need a specific information, maybe I can search more.
Okay, Colin, thank you. For the time left, I want to move away from the battery and let's have a look at the inverter for a second. So we talked about the frequencies being dependent earlier. But if I, for example, was to task you with creating a plastic enclosure for an inverter, what are the EMI challenges related to that? I know we talked about grinding, but what other EMI challenges would you foresee if we were trying to make, let's say, an all-plastic solution?
You mean let's talk about the inverter converter right now? For that.
Yeah, well, I want to move away from the battery and look at the inverter now. So if we were to imagine an inverter housing, and we could have that in a plastic, what challenges do we need to be aware of? For example, grinding. What are the other challenges that we should be aware of?
Yeah, for the shielding, like a converter is more complicated. That means they generate a wider frequency range. Also, for example, for some high power semiconductor like gallium nitride and silicon carbide, they also need to consider combine because transistor generates a lot of heat. Also may need to combine the approaches of the thermal management and shielding. Just based on for the shielding itself, I believe we can use the chip level shielding, means a very small cover to isolate the transistor. Also, we can use the board level shields to isolate the whole circuit board. This is just current solution for that. In the future, maybe just like I mentioned, that we may also consider use the absorbing materials, or even for the new metal materials. For this one, also need to consider other other issues called high power transient current, sometimes called from this kind of system. That one also need to consider very conductive materials to make the enclosure. From your point, based on the material you have, like you mostly make polymer-based materials. Maybe you can use, for example, for some high frequency, like up to 100 megahertz, this kind of frequency range, you may consider use the conductive coating on make it on the polymer surface to make the enclosure. Also, you may use the conductive wire like a metal mesh, or like a nickel wire mesh, even copper metal mesh to make. Yeah.
Sorry, Colin. I just want to ask a quick question in interim, because we've been talking about enclosures, but you mentioned these sort of board level enclosures. I think you called them chip level. Do you see an opportunity there also for a plastic